This is Eric Alexander, Six Arrows Consulting. Last month I had an interesting opportunity. I got to spend some time in the Midwest with a community bank, meeting with their leadership team, talking with them about principles of stewardship, what it means to be a steward, to have things entrusted to me, to be responsible and accountable, and fundamentally for my whole stewardship responsibility and opportunity not to be about me. We had lots of good discussion, talked about practical examples, what it looks like in their world. And then we had an interesting comment from the back of the room. One of the people there for the session was the chairman of the board, also happened to be one of the owners of the bank. And he brought up a point that resonated with the group, resonated with me. So I want to talk about that a little bit. He said, we need to be careful that stewards don't misunderstand their responsibility. This is me restating it 5 weeks later, so I'm not sure I'm capturing his words correctly, but I'll capture his thought. Stewards aren't just about protecting what's been entrusted to them. Stewards also need to think about growing what has been entrusted. And then he brought up the parable of the talents, where Jesus told a parable, told a story. It's captured in the 25th chapter of the book of Mark. And we think of talents as our abilities and giftings and so forth, but he brought this up and said, there's a parable, right, that talks about how I'm supposed to take what's been entrusted to me and grow it and make it more. And he's exactly right. The chairman had brought up where Jesus had talked about the very same principle. In fact, in the story, what Jesus said is there was a person who had been entrusted with 5 talents. Now, we think of talents as giftings and abilities and so forth, and they are that, but this was also a unit of measurement of currency in the Roman Empire there at the time. And so he had been entrusted with 5 of these, 5 units of currency, and the master said, take that and take good care of it for me. When he came back later, the one who'd been entrusted with 5 grew it into 5 more. And the master thought that was great. This is Eric's paraphrase. Actually, what he said to the servant was, well done, good and faithful servant. I'd like that said about me when I wrap up my stewardship. Well done, good and faithful steward. There was another one, good and faithful servant. There was another one who'd been entrusted with 3, and master came back and said, how'd you do? What came of it? And the steward said, the servant. Okay, they're interchangeable. The servant was a steward. He said, I turned it into 3 more, got you 100% return. Well done, good and faithful servant. There was one who'd been entrusted only with 1 talent, 1 bag of gold, 1 unit of currency, whatever it was. He had a different outcome. He hunkered down and protected it. He hid it in the ground. And when the master came back, he dug it up and said, here it is, it's yours, I protected it for you. The master was not pleased. He said, you should have at least put it with the bankers so I could have earned some interest with that. So it's fascinating to me that this entrepreneur, this businessman, this owner of a bank said, hey, in our stewardship, it's not just about hunkering down and protecting. We need to grow what's been entrusted with us. It's also interesting, about 13 months before that, I had a conversation in a different state with somebody in a different industry, in a different venue about stewardship. And this entrepreneur, this owner, previous owner of a family-owned business in retail, he made the very same point. So there must be something in my presentation about how I was talking about stewardship that maybe left an impression of when it's entrusted to me, I just hunker down and I protect it and I make sure it's not harmed. And the entrepreneur I had the conversation with the year before, he said, it's not just about playing it safe. It's not just about being hyper conservative. That can actually be bad stewardship. So it's not just protecting and making sure there's 0 risk. That can be bad stewardship. Appropriate stewardship can involve taking appropriate risk for an appropriate return. Grow it on behalf of the master, on behalf of the one that entrusted it to you. So as I'm talking about stewardship, as I'm thinking about it in my own life, as I'm working with others on it, I'm glad that both of these, from totally different industries, different states, different conversations, brought up that same point as a good reminder for me, good reminder for you, and also a good reminder as we share with others about stewardship. Let's take good care of what's entrusted to us. It's for the benefit of the one that entrusted it to us. Let's protect it and let's make it grow. Something to think about. Thanks for listening.